Coming at you live from DNHQ in beautiful South Pasadena, California. This is the Blue Heaven Podcast. What is going on, Dodgers Nation? My name is Clint. You can find me as Real FRG on the Twitter and Instagram. This guy is the lovely, delicious Douglas McCain. Find him as DMAC_LA on Twitter and Instagram. Welcome to Blue Heaven. Cheers and thank yous to our friends over at Jim Beam for getting us to the next hour or so of Dodgers Talk. Guys, thanks for joining us. On today's show, we got Kershaw. Well, I mean, of course, we got the Dodgers beating the Mets. That's pretty big. You got to feel good about that. But Kershaw, is his return is set. There are some Gonzalen concerns. He hits the IL since our last show. There's roster moves. There's Mo to this Mets series. Mookie's so good. And we got a giveaway shout-out and a whole lot more. So before we get into the show, hey, there's Doug. How you doing, man?
What's going on, Dodgers Nation? Dodgers get that dub. You got Jake Reed, high leverage Jake Reed coming in there, never a doubt, going in there, putting a little scareness. But hey, whoever the Dodgers put out there, it doesn't matter who it is, they're probably going to get this dub. They're pretty much a million games over 500 at this point. This team keeps racking up wins, 43-10 since July 1st, beating teams by over 3 runs per game. The run prevention's there, the scoring's there. This team just looks unstoppable this season. But yeah, it was really interesting out there at the end. But hey, they pulled it off, got the dub.
Yeah, like you pretty much said it. 45 winners of 45 of the last 55 games, or whatever it is. It's pretty. I mean, it is what it is, man. It's just these Dodgers are unstoppable. I'll note, yes, there are some issues with the video. I'm sorry. This will be
what up, Quack the Duck.
This will be our last version of this with the video messing up. Before we jump into the comments and all that kind of stuff, a bit of an elephant in the room. Brooke is no longer going to be part of the show. We're not going to get into all of that, but we do got to welcome, I guess, officially this guy, Doug McCain. The people have been wanting Doug on everything in every moment of their lives, and now they're going to have more Doug as you and I do this, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with the rest of the show as the year and as the seasons and et cetera go on. But I'm happy to have you aboard, and I hope you're looking forward to doing more of the same of what you do, which is great Dodgers talk.
Man, this is the pinnacle. This is the peak. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. The flagship show, the Blue Heaven Podcast, hosted by Mr. Clayton Pasillas. You're happy to be here, happy to talk Dodger baseball. The difference between this podcast and other ones out there is we have the best thing, and that's the fans. I'm the man of the fan, and I'm here to really get their perspective. Yeah. Also, talk all things Dodger baseball at all times, 24/7. Let's get it. Yeah,
this is the show about you guys. So let's dive into some of the comments here. Cody, who else misses you, Lo? I miss Eric.
Hey, man.
Cody, we'll see you in the office tomorrow. But, guys, do know that this is a live show. So let us know where you're representing Dodgers Nation tonight. Let us know where you watch tonight's game, where you watch them beat that potential playoff matchup, that playoff contender Met team. I mean, this is a great game. All things considered, not their greatest starter thrown out there. It was no Jake DeGrom. It was no Max Scherzer. But still, Taijuan Walker is he's no easy task to get through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a little bit of a cliche. Everyone out there saying, oh, it's a postseason-like atmosphere. The electricity, though, it was there. It was in the stands, and I think it was on the field, too. It was a tight one. Another comeback win for the Dodgers, 36 comeback wins. And you see what this team's able to do, and they're winning close games. And I think when you win a one-run game in a game where Jake Reed gets the final 3 outs, his first save of his career, it tells you what this team's all about. Andrew Heaney, he is a strikeout machine. Make no mistake about it. He is able to get those punch outs, but his Achilles heel has been keeping the ball in the yard, and it was home run Heaney tonight, right? He was giving up tanks, 2 bombs tonight, and yeah, struggling a little bit elevating that fastball, but I think with him, you still like what he's able to do as far as being able to miss bats, but that's definitely something he needs to tighten up, because last season gave 29 bombs.
Of what, like 120 innings or something like that?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. A 201 home runs per 9.
He's like you out there, man. Pitching machine.
Yeah, look, man, I'm more of a croquet player. I don't know. I'm a mop up duty guy. Okay, let's be nice. But yeah, Clint was hitting some tanks off me earlier in blitz ball. But yeah, Andrew Heaney, that's definitely something we're gonna have to monitor after giving up those 2 bombs at 7 on the season. That home runs per 9 is creeping up to 2 where it was last year. If you look at his pitch mix, one of the big issues with him was the overuse of that fastball, and you're starting to see it even out to last season. So definitely, I think one of the big storylines towards the end of this season is there's almost like a competition within the team, within these bullpen spots, these rotation pieces. And I don't care if the Dodgers are a million games over 500. There's still a lot of baseball to be played for, and that is your spot in the rotation, your role for the postseason.
Yeah, and the Dodgers saw getting a little ahead, but they saw Phil Bickford get optioned today. Jake Reed comes up, he gets the unlikely save. Which, are you reading too much into that? Him going with him over Kimbrough, or maybe a more trustworthy option there.
I mean, look, I'm a big Heath Hembry for closer guy. So no, but Double H, you get Triple H, the wrestler. How about Double H, Heath Hembry? But no, I think. Yeah. I'm not reading too much into that. I think that I've been carefully following Doc's quotes all season, and he doesn't have that loyalty to Craig Kimbrough, a.k.a. Craig Crumble, as we've seen at times that he did with Kenley Jansen. It's a totally different story, and I think that he said it best. He said it is a meritocracy. You are going to have to earn your spots and your role in the rotation. I wouldn't expect anything less from a team that is on pace to just absolutely obliterate the franchise record for wins. Yeah. So if you want a spot on this team, you got to produce. And Craig Kimbrough, he was pressing yesterday. I think that yesterday, bringing him back out, you had the clean inning against the bottom of the lineup, against a Marlins team that really offensively, they're one of the worst in the league. So I wasn't overly impressed with that. But yeah, the reality with Craig Kimbrough is not missing enough bats, allowing too many hits, and he's putting us through too much anxiety, giving us too many heart attacks. Cardiac Kimbrough.
I mean, against the Mets at this point in the season, Dave Roberts on Sunday said they're going to treat this series a little bit different. They're not going to worry too much about throwing out. Sure, you want to win ball games, but this is a team you very well could face in the NLCS. Don't show them all your cards. They didn't throw Brusdar Graterol out there. There's a reason for that. They didn't throw even Kimbrough out there. There's a reason for that. And also, he already had his confidence rattled yet again over the weekend. So
yeah, like you're not going to
use your scrubs, which they did, and they did flawlessly with Heath Hembry, Jake Reed. And by the way, there's 2 days of big league pay. Sorry, your ass is back on the DFA employment line in 2 days, and that's just how it goes because you got to bring back a few dudes. We'll get more into that in a little bit, but let's find a few comments here. Joe is checking in from the 602. Jonathan checking in from Orem, Utah. We got Donald in Atlanta. So those Atlanta fans, they could be a little. We got
Rod Wells, manager. We got Rod Wells over on YouTube says, manager Roberts push the right buttons tonight. Anytime I get a positive Roberts comment on the Dodgers Nation postgame show, we're always playing sounds. Okay, you got to give him some love when he deserves it, when he's earned it. But yeah, I think we even said before the game, Heath Hembry could have changed the world and he still wouldn't be on this roster. And I think when you talk about not showing everything and not giving him the looks in the postseason, that definitely could pay dividends down the line. And the Dodgers, that is another luxury of building this lead that they have built, is they can do things like that. And on the flip side, the Mets have everything to play for. They're up 3 games, now 2.5 games up on the Braves in their division, and they want to win that division because if they want to face the Dodgers, they want it to be in the NLCS when they can set their rotation and have Scherzer and DeGrom in a position earlier in that series. But yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. The Dodgers, you don't want to show all those wrinkles. If you're a football team, you don't want to do the double reverse pass in a preseason game or a fumble rooski. You want to save that for later in the season, in the postseason. But yeah, I think that
there's a reason us Eagles fans didn't see Philly until the Super Bowl against Tom Brady. All right, there's a reason we didn't see that one. But good stuff, Doug. Good stuff. Let's get into a couple more of the comments. BC says Dodgers going to beat up on DeGrom tomorrow on Wednesday. Yes, that's going to be a big one. The heavyweight matchup you expected. Tyler Anderson and his 13-2 going up against Jake DeGrom with his only puny 3-1 record, because you know how much I love wins around here. The Dodgers do miss Max Scherzer in this series. Coward.
Hey,
just
man,
saying.
Just like Game 6, right?
He quits.
Just like Game 6.
He just quits whenever the Dodgers are involved.
Yeah.
He did a New York Post, I think it was a New York Times, forget what it is, but he did say they're one of the best teams in the league, being the Dodgers, and to that I say, yeah, no shit. The record says that, and duh. Anyways, moving on. Ron Figg says Eagles suck. Go Cowboys. That. Ooh, that's a bad take, bud. How about them boys? Seen a few comments asking if Doug's going to be doing his shows and his solo shows. Yes. Just about everything stays the same. You still got post-game. We're going to be ramping up here into September, into October, bringing you a lot of post-game, pre-game stuff, everything that we possibly can to get you the best Dodgers coverage out there. Designated Twitter will remain alive and happy, and hopefully bringing you some new stuff. Hopefully some things on Instagram as well, because we want to give some love to our Instagram fans.
Bro, I'm like the Steve Harvey of Dodgers Nation, man. I'll do 20 shows a day if you let me, okay?
That is
I'm not
funny.
turning down anything, okay?
Funny.
Family Feud, one of my favorite shows. But yeah, I think it's very interesting. I mean, you bring up tomorrow, you have Jacob deGrom, all-world, the DeGrominator, going against Tyler, the outs creator. And I think that you look for challenges like that when you have achieved this much success like the Dodgers. If you're Tyler Anderson, a guy that has a lot to play for as far as putting himself in a great position the offseason, he's going to get that qualifying offer most likely, might secure a nice little 2-3 year deal with the Dodgers or something like that. Yep. But look, the stage of New York is the stage of New York. And I think that going after a Marlins series where I'm pretty sure the Marlins are still on I think it's like the 2020 COVID rules where you can only have, limited capacity or something like that. And pretty much the entire stadium is filled with Dodger fans hearing "Let's Go Dodgers" chants the entire game. To go from that to a sold out Mets City Field, I think that this is exactly what this team needs late in the year. And I think that also the more games they win, the more it becomes looming. Hey, the Dodgers now, they have to finish 27-7. And if they do that, they set the all-time record with 117 wins. You and I have talked about that a little bit off the air, and I kind of go back and forth as to I think you get so close, maybe you do go for it. But what are your thoughts on that? A little off script,
which is fine. That's how these shows are supposed to go. Don't chase numbers for the at the expense of your team and your health and your postseason. We saw that last year as they were trying to chase down that 9th consecutive division title. It didn't work, and they got bit heading into the postseason. Absolutely. So numbers are nice, but what's nicer? Rings. Just saying.
Don't mean a thing if you don't get that ring. Just ask the 2015, 2016 Warriors and the Patriots, that they lost to the Giants. Yeah, I mean, no one remembers. That's the thing, that's the thing that kind of hurts me about this Dodgers team. I mean, watched the Dodgers my entire life. I really don't remember a time where I wasn't a Dodger fan. And what really pains me is this team could go 162-0, but it won't mean anything unless they win a World Series championship. This team's success or failure is ultimately going to be determined by whether or not they raise the piece of metal. And I think that's just the nature of baseball, and really when you have a team this good. But still, I mean, I just love going out there and watching this team compete and execute on a day in and day out basis. And I think tonight it was just tonight was one of my favorite games. I mean, it was the Heath Hembry Jake Reed game, right? And then you also saw
a whole bunch of things you did not expect to see happening ended up happening in this game, and that's that's why baseball is fun. You never know what the hell you're going to get.
Yeah,
you really
absolutely.
don't. It's pretty great. Some love in here. We got a few 818s checking in. Zed, our friend Zed, checking in saying Doug is goated, and I fully agree. Face of the franchise right here. 661 in the house. Lenny asking how we feel about James Outman. Should he play for Cody? At this point, I think anybody should be playing for Cody Bellinger. We were talking earlier about maybe getting some Trace Thompson in there and Joey Gallo, because these dudes earn spots. They if Dave is saying it's a meritocracy, if Dave is saying the numbers mean something, you can't keep throwing CTK3 out there and Cody Bellinger, which he's belly right on back to the bench.
Yeah, it's been.
I'm not as good at the nicknames as you. I'm sorry.
No, man, you're even better than I could ever dream of, man. But yeah, I think when it comes to Cody Bellinger, like you said, it is a little bit of a hypocritical move by Doc if you're going to say, hey, it's going to be a meritocracy with Craig Kimbrough. But then when you talk about Cody Bellinger, who this month he's struggling once again, a 735. The 211 batting average. Yes, the defense is what it is, and he is a guy that can go out there and make game-changing plays, but I do think at the end of the day, I'm a big fan of the hot hand theory, right? And I think if he's hot, if he can find us, I think to me, I'm not selling you. Look, Anthony Keene, my boy's out there. He's a belly eater, one of the biggest ones I know, and the reason why I just can't sell my Cody Bellinger stock is last season, he was even in a worse spot. I mean, he really was. It was one of the worst seasons in the league, bottom 5 in F4 and WRC plus across the board, and he ends up having a 907 OPS, second behind Chris Taylor. He had the base hit in Game 5 of the NLDS that really essentially won the game for the Dodgers. He had the big game tying home run in Game 3 of the NLCS. So my hope, the big question I have for Cody Bellinger is, why did you go away with what was working for you when it came to the hand setup, lower the hand setup, the wider stance, the bat? I mean, he reverted back to a stance and a setup where it just looks like he just doesn't have an advantage at all. You know that opposing pitchers know where to attack him inside, elevated fastballs, breaking balls away. And I'm telling you, my most casual Dodger fans know that. And the fact that they do, and it's that easy, I think it's very telling. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not complete on my stock, but the difference, Clint, between this year and last year is there is an influx of talent in that outfield. They did find Thompson. And by the way, you're going to talk about Cody Bellinger injuring Mookie Betts. That's why we got Thompson. So thank you, Cody Bellinger, for giving us
looking out.
See, that's how you look at the Michelada half full, right? So
this guy gets it.
And then Joey Gallo, Joey. So there's that too. So, but I think the really kind of the big issue though is you talked about Chris Taylor. I have a friend who calls him CT 3 strikes, you're out. Taylor, Chris Kaler, swing and miss Chris. If he can't find it, I almost think that it's a situation where, yeah, he's been Ock Taylor. He got it done in the past. But at the end of the day, I don't think if you're struggling in the last game of the season, and yes, he was 8 for 72 before he hit the walk-off shot in the wild card, and things can change on a dime.
Reinvigorated his season for sure.
And he's so streaky, but I do think that there might be some lingering injury stuff. You saw that throw that was a little high the other day to Freddie Freeman, and they were a little reluctant to play him in the infield because of that offseason surgery he had. I just wonder about the health of Chris Taylor, and usually that's kind of what I attribute it to as far as his struggles, because he just hasn't been able to find his rhythm and timing at the plate. And yeah, I think that, that's kind of the chatter. But at the same token, a lot of the same things that Dodger fans are saying about Chris Taylor right now are what they were saying about Max Muncy.
It'd be like that.
And then Max Muncy turned it around. So, yeah, you just never know.
It'd be like that. Going back into the chat a little bit, 90 wins. That's pretty cool.
90 wins. Hey,
That's
man.
pretty cool.
When we were growing
Rams
up,
fan.
we thought 90, 94 wins. We were happy.
Oh, man. That was
the parade.
That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. All right. We got that wild card, baby. Let's go.
Exactly, man. Bring on Jose Lima.
Our friend Gail, the Blue Heaven positivity correspondent, checking in from Canada she says hi from Canada to two of my favorite guys. Hi, Gail. Thank you for hanging out with us whenever you can. Santiago checking in the stream. He says up in the air, wins record or World Series, which I can understand. Like, that is kind of, it's nice to have that clout, but that's the only thing when we talk about the Mariners, when baseball fans talk about the Mariners, that's all they talk about.
Yeah. And that team,
I'd rather have Mickey Mouse World Series in 2020 than, hey, we won 100 and some odd games, 30 years ago.
But Clint, I mean, think about this though. To me, I go both ways on it, because yes, that Mariners team in 2001, that's all you think of. And almost they were almost cursed because that season they haven't made it to the postseason since. They have an over 95% chance of making it this season, but they lost to the Yankees in the ALCS that year. And then the 1906 Cubs, not to go too far back, the 1906 Cubs.
Was there.
I was there. And I've been in the game for a long time. They lost to the White Sox in the World Series. So both those teams that won 116 games didn't win the game's ultimate prize. But can you imagine sticking it to teams and franchises and fans around the league if the Dodgers won 117 games and went on to maybe have a postseason run where they beat the Braves, Mets, and then the Astros or Yankees? You could basically make a case that's probably one of the greatest seasons that any team has had in any professional sporting event. So me loving my Dodgers like I do, I want that trump card to play. And I know it's, like I think you're right. Like, I think from a pragmatic standpoint, getting guys rest and putting themselves, after what we saw last season with everyone running out of gas, I would hate to say this, but maybe a little skid where that's kind of out of the picture, and maybe you're on pace to win 110, 113. I predicted they win 107 games this year before the season, and so selfishly, I want them to at least lose some games for that.
Almost feels like it's a foregone conclusion, but we've seen very, very good Dodger teams go on ugly losing streaks. This team doesn't feel like that's in the realm of possibility. This is just a good team. They have their heads in all the right spots. There's not anybody. This is like one of the best teams you've ever seen play baseball. They feel, or play any sport, because they feel like they're all pulling together. They're all working together. Somebody gets out, they're going to put their arm around them and they're going to figure out why. There was something in the Athletic over the weekend where Gavin Lux was talking about, like, there was, I think he said, I didn't fully read it because, I was away this weekend, but they got rid of, like, people going straight back to the dugouts and looking at their iPads and just watching what happened to their own swing. And instead, working together, talking to Freddie, talking to Trey, who are two guys you want to listen to when they're talking about hitting and swings. Like, hey, what did you see in that situation? And working together, synergy, corporate bonding.
Yeah.
And it just you're seeing the product on the field. This is the team that's playing together. They're pulling for each other. You're seeing this, you're seeing that, you're seeing whatever that water celebration is, which looks a little uncouth to me, but win in Rome.
Dodger fans have seen more hits than Casey Kasem and Ryan Seacrest this season with Trey Turner.
Let me get that on the top shelf for you. and Doug's reaching out here. I mean, it's good. It was good. I'll give
it's
you
a Bikram yoga stretch, but no, I agree with you. I think to me, you talk about this team when it comes to the slumps and the personnel they have, and to me, it's about that top end talent. I mean, you see elite top 10 to 15 players on this team, and you're talking about some of the greatest players in the game with Mookie, Trey, and Freddie. Yeah. Some say it's a big three. To me, it's a fantastic four. When you consider my doppelganger, Will Smith, in the mix, some people think we're the same person, but
I mean, you guys are. Let's be real. Why do you think you weren't in the starting lineup tonight? Because you had to do this.
Look, man, no one's ever had. Like, I'm not saying we're not, but no one's had a picture of us in the same place at the same time. But YouTube, yeah, that's how I got my start in this business. But no, I agree with you 100%. I do think that this team is losing streak proof, and if you look at their schedule down the stretch, you got. I think maybe
this is potentially one of the harder
and
more
the
challenging stretches. Yeah, because getting a little ahead, you got 2 more with the Mets. Yeah, you got 3 with Pods, and then you got the Giants. And
Giants are going to want to ruin their season or do anything they can to try to impact that. And then you got 4 at home against Arizona late. You got 3 at home against St. Louis, 3 at San Diego, and 5 against the Rockies. If you can go on another streak and it's close, I don't know. It's a tough decision as far as kind of going for it. But I think this organization is fully invested in winning the World Series. I don't think they're going to take that bait like the Warriors did in 2015 and 2016 when they won 73 games. And you saw they didn't win the ultimate prize. And there were times during that season where a lot of people said, hey, it was right when kind of load management, the term, really started to become popular. And they were really going for it that entire season. And really, I think that there's the rest versus rust debate. And you don't want to have no relevant baseball down the stretch. But to me, the reason why the Dodgers aren't going for a potential three-peat, I mean, I don't want to get too much hubris, but if the Dodgers are healthy last season, if Urias and Buehler and Scherzer don't go down, and you got Kershaw, Muncy, and Turner, I mean, so many key injuries down the stretch. I think this team
just fell apart trying to get that 9th consecutive division title. Again, just get to the postseason, stay healthy, and you play to play deep into October. You stay healthy to play deep into October, not just get a bunch of wins in September. That don't mean that much to me. That don't impress me much. Shania Twain. Thank you. Thank you very much. Getting into a couple comments here. Our one of our friends, Trace Gallo Thompson, whatever else he throws on his name day to day.
This guy's the man.
An important note, historic note. Heath Hembry picked up his first win as a Dodger today. Goat.
And Kimbrough got one yesterday too. I was going to give you something. I was going to mess with you about that because Kimbrough got one yesterday.
I ain't going to be here. But let's take a little bit more into this game, and we'll into this game, and we'll get into your guys' comments here. Great comments, appreciate you guys. I do want to note again, if you guys are watching, there is some technical difficulty with the camera feed, so we'll have that fixed for you later in the week, and you shouldn't be seeing that any more shows going forward. So we apologize for that. Hopefully the sound is all good. But one of the big things we saw in this, we already talked about, I want to dive into a little bit more. The Heen Dog, man, is he pitching his way off of a postseason roster, or is he somebody that you really want to look at as, is it him or David Price as that, I don't know, long relief-ish left-hander? I mean, DP's been good in the second half of the season, but this guy's got wipeout stuff, but again, he's also homer prone. You can pick and choose his spots if he is in relief, but what do you think? Is he playing his way off the roster, or do you give him the next month, really, to kind of figure out what you're doing with him? And if he can stay healthy.
Look, I was the guy early in the season that was the president of the Andrew Heaney. I was the big Heaney head, and to me, what I always said, with the day we signed him, it was our first signing, really in the offseason, really got things kicked off. It's the home runs.
Season ended, right? I mean, the offseason ended right there because of the whole lockout. But anyways, go ahead. The home runs for sure.
I mean, look, if you look at Thursday at Milwaukee, gave up 3 home runs. Last start before this one, gave up a home run. Tonight gives up 2 home runs. And the thing is, he's a guy that does miss bats. He does strike guys out. But if he's not doing that, it's almost like you have the 3 true outcome for hitters. It's almost like he's becoming a 2 true outcome guy as a pitcher. But at the end of the day, if he's, it's almost like the Kershaw theory that when we talk about Kershaw, as long as he's giving up solo shots and this Dodgers offense is scoring 5.35 runs per game, Andrew Heaney is going to give this Dodgers team a chance to win. And if you compacted it into 2 innings as a multi-inning relief role in the postseason, when you consider David Price, he was really on fire. As far as we got a nice comment. What we got?
Nando390 said, looks like the video is looking like a downloaded file from LimeWire.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out, LimeWire.
Hey, shout out, man.
That's more of a Pirate Bay kind of guy.
I still have viruses on my computer from the LimeWire days.
Hey, they're like family at some point in time. You know,
exactly.
You got to keep them around. You feed them every year.
No doubt.
Just once a year anyway.
But yeah, if you look at David Price, a 1.5 ERA in the month of August, giving up 2 earned runs in 12 innings. And he's a guy that's embraced that role. And also, Clint, he's had that role for the entire season. So he's already kind of adapted to that role. We know Andrew Heaney's done a little bit of that in the past, but Heaney's been a guy that he's had some shoulder issues too, as far as inflammation, some injuries there. And you talked about Dave Roberts saying that he's going to be a guy that maybe give you 75 pitches, 4 or 5 innings. And it'll be very interesting. It is a good problem to have. And I think that we'll see what happens with Tony Gonsolin, which I'm sure we'll touch on in a second here. But after Walker Buehler goes down, you can never have too much pitching. That is definitely the recipe. But I do think it's to a point where it's a little concerning. Let's say Andrew Heaney has another outing, gives up 2-3 bombs again. It's just a trend that's going in the wrong direction after really that was one of the big stories. The stories with Andrew Heaney this season, it was the sweeping slider and the fact that he wasn't allowing the dingers. And it was a
small sample size early on, but now he's put together 5 straight starts or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're seeing either the league's catching up to him or you know, he's just not hitting his spots. That sweeping slider isn't as crisp as it was to start the season. Maybe his shoulder's getting tired. You know, he's somebody who's dealt with shoulder issues. I mean, his stuff is better than David Price. You know, David Price has a very, very soft cutter that looks very hittable. And I think it almost feels like, even though the numbers will say otherwise, and I'm not going to pull them up in front of me, the eye test says otherwise, they both have equal opportunity to give up a bomba at any given pitch. So if you can get somebody who potentially has wipeout stuff with Heaney, you go that route. But luckily, we don't make those decisions. And luckily, you got about a month plus of games left to figure out what exactly you want to do with that final roster spot. Moving on, as I don't know if things are still working or not. I hope they are, but I'm stuck over here anyway. Few more people in the stream saying, giving some Heaney love. Hepatitis C you later, saying Andrew Heaney has been great for us, $8 million. His production has been great. Matthew Smith, Heen Dog is big time. I'd take him over over the Price is wrong for sure.
We got Diane Schroeder. She goes, in the end, I'd rather have Heaney out there than Craig Crumbles.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, I think about Heaney too. Hard contact, not missing barrels as much as David Price. I think I like David Price's postseason heartbeat, if you want to call it. You know, he's been there, done that. Great clubhouse guy, very popular in the clubhouse. So it'd be very interesting to see just kind of who takes up these final spots in the end. But yeah, I do think.
And we got more roster stuff to talk about in a couple minutes here. Get to a few more comments. Our friend Swellin' Sausage, $1.99 super chat. We appreciate you, Swellin' Sausage. Will Catman ever wear the, I'm not going to say it, but he's going to wear them cat shoes again? I hope so.
I think he's earned it. I think he's earned it at this point.
16 wins.
Yeah, 16 dubs.
Wins are important, baby. Let's go. I got you. Get to a couple more of the comments here. See if you got anything you like, and then we'll move on a bit.
Hanser over Crumble from Boomer Assassin. I would say probably Hanser. I would say Charlie Freeman, Mookie's mom. That's a great picture too. I mean, I would definitely say no, but look, Craig Kimbrough. It's been a tough season. You guys know that I've actually defended him more than most, I guess, Dodger pundits, whatever you want to call these people that work in this industry. But yeah, it's just it's been a tough watch, and it's not just because it's been a painful watch, and not because it looks like he's stuck in a pillory or anything like that. It's just because he's unable to get those clean outs. Carnivorous Lunar Activity says, "Hey D-Mac, what channel is Cinemax on?" Don't know what that means, but I think it's 546, something like that on Spectrum. We got Neal left bases loaded 3x, not going to work in the playoffs. Yeah, that's what I was telling Gary early in this game, that Trace Thompson, he had an opportunity, if that doesn't go foul, this is a 6-1 game.
Yeah.
And they blow this thing wide open. Cody Bellinger, he flied out to left early in this one with an opportunity to get the Dodgers some more runs. So not even the best night for the Dodgers offensively. This is one of the games, and yeah, we're watching it here at the office. I'm not like crazy, like inside the TV, like dialed in, locked in. Like
you don't have your couch belt on.
My
like you're
couch
talking
belt,
about?
yeah, I lock in the couch belt. But still, I mean, this is kind of one of those games where it, like, late in the game, knowing who we had coming in, it did feel like it was going to be a possible late game loss for the Dodgers, but they still were able to come out and win. They go 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position today. They leave 12 men on base. And yeah, it's 7 hits for the Dodgers. Big, that big double by Mookie. I thought Austin Barnes did a nice job, 1 for 3, had the walk too. So yeah, I mean, this team it's almost a winner's win mentality. I mean, they just winning is a habit for this 2022 Dodgers team. And yeah, thankfully we're getting to the end of the season and we haven't had that losing 16 of 17, 11 game losing streak like we saw in 2017, losing 15 of 20 games last season. And yeah, they're in a good spot. I mean, they lost 4 straight, I believe, is the longest losing streak this season. So yeah, this team, like I said, I've been a Dodger fan my entire life. I haven't seen a team go out there despite whatever the obstacles are. Kershaw goes down, Buehler goes down, next man up mentality. I think Dave Roberts just makes everyone feel like, hey, you're going to go out there and you're going to succeed because of the attack plan, all the analytics behind it, and just going out there and just wanting to compete. It's definitely a fun thing to watch. One of my favorite teams to watch really my entire life, honestly.
Shifting gears a little bit, looking at what happened over the weekend and really over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about that odd stretch of playing the same 2 teams for 14 games in 15 days. That was the feeling. That was the feeling for me. That was going to be the spot where they did something dumb, where the roster just everybody went cold and they were going to go like 7-7. Instead, they go 10-4. Wait, that's fine.
Can we play the audio back?
What? Is that what you said?
I said 10-4.
We don't have the audio.
I'm going to clip that. Go on my Twitter, DMAC_LA. I'm not a big victory lap guy, but I'm going to take my victory lap on this. I said 10-4.
One of these days, we're really going to figure out, like, we need to have somebody who, whenever we do predictions, we actually follow up on, because we've been terrible at that for many years. But what did we learn from that series? Hey, one, Mookie Betts is just so damn good when he's on. Didn't look great. He didn't have a great series or a great opening game against the Mets here, but, goes out and gets player of the week in the NL. He just absolutely hands the ass of the Marlins right back to them. Don't forget, I think since he's become a Dodger, like, we see him every day, the expectations kind of change, but when you heard about him in Boston, like, we can't forget, this was a guy who was right there in the same conversations with Mike Trout as the best player in baseball, or whether is he the best player in baseball. And we got him when he's on, and Trey Turner is on, and Freddie Freeman on. I've been watching baseball 100 plus years like you back in 1906 and all that. I really got to ask, man, is there a better 1, 2, 3 in baseball history? Everybody's going to go Murderer's Row. You got Ruth, you got Gehrig, and the rest, but these guys are just so damn good. MTF, man. You got to love them.
MTF, baby. Yeah. I mean, they're definitely, I think it will come down to what they're able to accomplish late in the season if they're able to win it all. But yeah, if you look at this big three's ability to just produce each and every day, when you talk about Trey Turner and, the health is wealth, right? Ability, your greatest ability is availability. These are guys that post each and every day, and there seems to be a healthy competition brewing between the two. And I think that my favorite thing about this lineup, when you talk about Freddie Freeman and Trey Turner, is they just don't take a pitch or an at-bat or a game off. And I think when you talk about other lineups in the history of the game, I'll tell you one of my favorite ones. And do I have to call them the Guardians now? Yeah, I don't want to.
I think
okay,
so.
The 1995 Guardians guys, Albert Bell, Jim Thome, Jim Thome, Jim Thome, and I'm El Maniaco. I'm a big Manny Ramirez guy, right? You got Albert Bell, Jim Thome, Manny Ramirez. 50 bombs for Bell that year, 25 for Thome, 31 for Manny. That was a stacked lineup. But how about the 1953 Dodgers? I mean, you could go Campanella had 1,000 OPS in 53 with 41 bombs. Hodges, Snyder, Jackie, Duke. Murderer's Row, screw the Yankees.
All right, so crap all over my proclamation.
It's the Yankees.
You're right.
It's the Yankees.
You're right. I mean, even
You're
that,
right.
those, quit being a kiss ass. Those names are in the great scheme of baseball, leaps and bounds better. To have Jackie Campy, Hodges, to have Snyder, and these are names. These are hallowed names in baseball circles. But maybe one day we're going to be looking at this top 4, especially this top 3. If a Trey Turner contract extension gets figured out. By the way, check out one of Doug's latest videos. He talks about Trey Turner contract situation and all that. It's some good stuff because it's Doug and everybody loves Doug.
Look, man, slide. Look, just like how Trey Turner slides into home plate, Andrew Freeman, they need to slide a nice check over and have him sign. Slide over a contract.
Then you got hopefully at least 6 years. Or 5 years of those two.
Give me this core. They're going to give you a World Series. But also, 76 Reds, Joe Morgan, George Foster, and Pete Rose. Joe Morgan got all the first place votes for the MVP, and the only other first place votes went to George Foster that year. So that team was a baller team too, and we saw what they were able to do as a core. So yeah, I think this team's got some competition, but you talk about these 3 names and the history that they could build together. You just mentioned a Trey Turner extension. That to me is one of my big factors. I mean, do you want to stay with the stability of the Dodgers and play and bat? I mean, imagine just batting in between Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, what that does for Trey Turner, right? So
I don't know how you would want to leave. Like, I don't know, when I do a sports, I want to win the sports. I don't want to just get paid a bunch of money. Guess what? He's also going to get paid a bunch of money, and he's going to be with the best team in baseball.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And this is a team that, I mean, you see the camaraderie. You see, this time I'm using it not in jest, you see the synergy. Like, this is a team that really likes each other, really fights for each other, so it's fun. Getting back into what we've learned, Mookie's good. They're all very good. We also learn, or confirmed in one part, but also learn this team can struggle against, quote, elite pitching. Shout out Eric. And they could also beat up on elite pitching. Alcantara and Corbin Burns, reigning NL Cy Young Award winner, they took it to him. And that's the start against DeGrom, that's going to be a bunch. It's going to be a bunch of good. Everybody that's going to be in the starting rotation or starting a lineup in October, potentially against the Mets, is going to be starting against DeGrom to get as many looks at him as they possibly can tomorrow. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, as long as, I think for sure, I think this is a team that has proven, as long as it's not Eric Lauer on the mound, geez. I mean, Eric Lauer.
Yeah, that's the one guy. That's the one guy I worry about for sure.
I mean, but you talk about Rodon and some of these other guys that Alcantara recently, but also what happened over the weekend. Alcantara proved that, good pitching always beats good hitting. Dominant pitching always has the advantage. But I think with this team, what has impressed me is their success against high velocity pitches this season, hitting over 320 against high velocity pitches this year, the way they don't expand the strike zone, the fact there is no holes in this lineup when everyone's really grooving. Yes, guys are going to slump at times, there's no question about it, but I think the fact that this team is more of a complete lineup when you look at guys coming off the bench, just the depth as a whole. I do, and we haven't talked about Miguel Vargas. Guy come up late in the season.
Whoa, you're spoiling the magic and the mystery.
Yeah, I just think that, I think that you're absolutely right. I think that this team, they know that at the very least, they're going to go out there and make a starter work. And you saw that early in their first battle with Alcantara. They made him work. He's a guy that threw 27 pitches in the first inning, averaged like 14 on the season. So I think that is their approach at the plate is, hey, we're not going to expand the zone. We're going to try to get that pitch count up and beat up on your bullpen. And I think that that's definitely the formula for success for this Dodgers team.
100%. Before we move into one more final topic from over the weekend, we got to point out, or we got to announce the winner of our latest giveaway. We have it's pick any player jersey you want. You signed up, you did it, you did the thing, DodgersNation.com/giveaways. The winner is blah, 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 Luis Mendoza. We'll be reaching out to you via email. We're going to try to get that jersey over to you. So keep a lookout in your email. Keep a lookout in your spam. I don't know where it goes, but we don't want to have to burn the jersey. We want you to have the jersey. Another thing, while we're here, we wanted to, I guess, kind of shout out some people that have been, it's been a really good year for Dodgers Nation, for our team, for our growth, and we thank you fans so damn much for what you do for for us in some way. You guys support us, and we try to bring you the best content as we can. We hit 55,000 subscribers here on YouTube, hoping to keep on going there. Facebook is still doing well, but hey, we never expected anything out of this, and it's kind of funny. I wanted to give shout out to a few folks that are helping moderate, which is a very difficult task, moderate our Facebook group, the official Dodgers Nation Facebook group. So Gary, Jeff, and Ramon, they got to 50,000 subs on there, so that's pretty cool. Let's give them the clap. That's if you're not on it and you use Facebook, go sign up, go check it out. It's Facebook, so be forewarned. Anyway, the other thing that happened last week before we get into what's coming up, Tony Gonsolin, forearm strain. He's not worried. He says he's going to be back on September 10th. He tried to pitch through it of his postseason. He honestly could have probably pitched through it. It sounds like, but blessing in disguise. What do you think? I mean, the writing's been on the wall about the heavy workload. He's thrown a lot of innings. He's thrown more than he ever has as a big leaguer. It's just a blessing.
I would say it's a blessing if obviously nothing comes out of it. I mean, you talk about a forearm injury. We know that sometimes that can be the precursor too. But I think that the reason why it's a topic of conversation is because everyone talks about the 128 plus innings, and that is a new career high for Tony Gonsolin. If this was just a normal year, no one would be saying anything about that. That's the only reason why this is a topic, is because we've seen, I think there's a little bit of PTSD with some of these Dodger fans because it has been an episode of Squid Game at times with guys just going down and the injury bug just sinks his teeth into this team, it feels like. But Tony Gonsolin is a guy who I feel, like I say, he's a drive line guy. You see him before the game.
Yeah.
Like he's got the crazy ball and he's like doing this and like he's got crazy techniques.
Somebody cut that, by the way. Let's get that.
Don't cut that. Made a little gif. But I do think he's built up to withstand this. And you talk about he's been effective even with the velocity dip, right? Yeah. So he's learned how to pitch this season and not just be a guy that goes out there and tries to, throw his hardest fastball and this and that. You're seeing the curveball, the split change bottom of the zone. He's been fantastic. I think to answer your question, I do think this is a blessing. I truly do. I think that Tony Gonsolin in July had an ERA over 4, and then he really figured it back out. Locked it back in. So you get him in a spot where he's feeling healthy. And I know there's not a phantom IL stint or anything like that. I just don't think it's that serious. And the reality is, like I said earlier, they are 1 trillion games over 500. There is no reason to push anyone. There just is no reason to push anyone.
Absolutely no reason to.
Yeah.
And that's the next question I have is like, when do they start? When should they start easing back on workloads? And will they? It feels like with the words Dave is saying, what is it now? Magic number is 14, 15, 14, somewhere in that pocket. As soon as, they've already said it about Freddie Freeman, he's going to get a day off the second they clinch the division. And I think they're going to get a good number of days off unless, and that's, again, you start to worry about chasing the numbers because they're trying to lead the league in hits. They're trying to, potentially overtake Paul Goldschmidt in the MVP race or in the batting average race. And they're there. They're probably potentially not going to pass him, but you worry about chasing numbers against what is more important. That is that ring.
Yeah, I think to me, it's a case-by-case thing. You mentioned Freddie Freeman. This guy loves to play. Even spring training, you couldn't keep him off the field. They're going to have to hire security to just rip him off the field. They're going to have to put they're going to have to put barbed wire around first base just so he can't play because he loves to go out there and play. But I do think that you take a case-by-case and you really assess where each guy is at. Where can a guy benefit from playing, from getting the reps, like a Chris Taylor or Cody Bellinger, to try to play their way into a hot streak leading into the postseason. Whereas a Mookie Betts, I thought it was pretty interesting yesterday. They make this big thing about how he wins Player of the Week and how he was having, it was Mookie Miami, getting splashed all over the face, right? And like, you didn't have to play Monday, and then you see him out there in right field, and if he gets injured, this chat's blowing up, right? Doc, why'd you play me? He tweaked a hammy, he pulled something. So I do think that with the veteran guys, that you definitely have to give them a breather. I think that this team, you don't want to go into the postseason on a funk or on a losing skid or anything like that. And I do think, look, they're going to downplay this, no question. But if they just continue to win and that 117 games is within reach, you almost feel like you owe it to yourself to make a run at history. But like you said, that they can't take that bait. They cannot take that bait. And they think this year the ultimate prize is the only goal. And I do think that, to answer your question, when is it time? I think that we saw it today. I mean, it was time today. So I think, yeah, you just got to get guys fresh because they learned from last season that it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season if you don't have enough tread on the tires for the stretch run.
Rosters are going to be expanding in less than 2 days by the time you're listening to this, potentially. Granted, you're only adding one position player who we will name in a second. It's already out there. But you get opportunity to mix some things up. Maybe they do lose some games, but if they're losing some games in September with the obvious B squad out there, I'm okay with it. Fans aren't going to be okay with it. But as long as we're paying attention and watching and knowing who's in there and knowing who, Freddie's still getting his at-bats, Trey's still getting their at-bats, his at-bats when he needs them, staying fresh and ready. I don't think they're going to, sit them 10 games or whatever. We're talking 2 games. I mean, Freddie is a dude who loves to play. And Trey is in a platform year and wants to stay out there. On the other hand, he wants to stay healthy as well. Moving on, though, if we're talking about being healthy, Swollen Sausage a little bit ago sent us another $2 super chat saying season might come down to rematch versus Kershaw versus Soto. Perfect segue. Clayton Kershaw is coming back. He is going to be starting against the Mets in Queens on Thursday. You got to be excited about this. He's chomping at the bit. He even... over Friday or whenever it was over the weekend, I think it was on Thursday, actually, he said, honestly, I could have been pitching already. I'm just waiting for them to tell me I can go out there. He's ready. He's going to be fine. He doesn't want to be doing these stupid side sessions, and there's nothing he's going to gain from going down and doing a minor league rehab assignment. He's ready. Go up and throw him against the best. Don't expect 5 or 6 innings out of him, even if he wants it. Just let him go out there and play. But exciting times because perfect time. You lose Tony G. You got to get the guy back. You got to get your ace back, Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, absolutely. And after what we saw last season, he dealt with that injury after the start against Washington, then comes back, gets injured. In the third to the last game of the season, there was so much made about him taking the ball off the mound with him into the dugout. People were thinking, oh, is that it with Kershaw on a Dodgers jersey? So I think seeing him come back and looking healthy, the fact that it was a back injury, not an arm issue, if he can come back and be effective, look, he's ready to go. He pitched 4 simulated innings on Saturday. And I like the fact that, hey, he gets the Clayton Kershaw treatment. He's like, hey, I'm King Kersh. I'm a walking Hall of Famer. You don't need to give me a rehab start, okay, just to boost the attendance for, the Quakes or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I think the fact that, look, and also, too, you don't have to have him travel, too, which is good because...
That was a big thing he mentioned as well,
the travel with his back. So I think that's a big thing.
I really want them just to build like a cryostasis chamber for him wherever they need to travel. Like, put him in a tube, bubble wrap the shit out of that tube, keep Kershaw's back alive. Hashtag free Kershaw's back by keeping it alive.
Could change the game, man. Look, the reality with Kersh, too, look at his numbers this year: 2.64 ERA, 2.73 FIP, not walking anyone, pristine 4.5 walks, 4.5 walk percentage. But look, the reality with Kershaw is if he has the command, he keeps it low, live low, live long, like my man, the D-Train says. Hey, D-Train, here's your invite to the show. Don Trell, holler at me.
Make it happen already. We're ready.
Hey, he's celery. Let's get it popping here.
New Blue Haven. Who dis?
Yeah, exactly. D-Train. Hey, the invitation is out. Okay, but yeah, I think that look, he has a feel for that slider. I mean, he's on. I mean, he's a guy who can still go out there and be effective.
I trust Clayton Kershaw with my life, provided it is not October baseball. More roster moves, more news happen. As we already saw, we've talked about, hey, I wrote it down this way. They added Jake Reed, veteran journeyman Heath Hembry to the roster. Both are going to be DFA'd on September 1st because they need a roster spot for Clayton Kershaw. And, of course, the reports have already been confirmed. Miguel Vargas is going to be the other guy who's added to the roster. Surprising and not surprising, they don't go the Edwin Rios route because they need a little bit of defensive versatility, and honestly, they need some right-handed pop off the bench because you got Trace, but you don't have pop in Austin Barnes, and if you need a right-handed bat, you don't really want that to be the guy. Hanser, I don't trust to really get the job done. He's a free swinger, and him coming off the bench doesn't get it done for me. Joey Gallo could be a guy. We know Chris Taylor's going to be K'ing all over the place, so it's cool to see Miggy Vargas come back, and this is a guy. Dave said, hey, I liked what he showed here in his first, cup of tea. He showed he's a big league bat. He showed he has the presence, he has the poise, and now he has the opportunity to prove himself for a postseason roster spot. Definitely going to be a taxi squad, but you got to be excited to see this kid again.
I love it. I was excited. It's getting Miggy with it. Okay, just getting him back here on the bit in the show, another spot. And if you look at him, since he was optioned, an 1,100 OPS with 2 bombs in 18 games since he was optioned. So he continues to rake in the kids' bat-to-ball skills. They're fantastic. And like you said, too, a great a great bat against lefties off the bench as a righty. I mean, he's a guy that's just going to go out there and rake. And I just love those bat-to-ball skills. I think he's got it. I mean, I think one of my favorite things about Miguel Vargas is after he gets, that double in the gap against the Giants in his first big league at-bat, he just steals third because he said he didn't think anyone in the world could get him out. Yeah. Like that is the kind of swagger that I want to see on the Dodgers. I think he's got, he's got the earring, he's got the swagger, he's got the star power. I can't wait to see him.
And good bench presence. Have that youth. Get him
for sure.
And Hanser on the bench, rooting his boys on. Love it.
Yeah, and like you said, and the most important thing is a great bat off the bench against lefties, and that is the most important thing. And I think he's a guy where how many opportunities is he going to get? That's the big question. But like you said, the positional versatility that he does bring. You already see how stacked there were some outfielders, and Albin is going to get his chance, especially next season when he's a starting center fielder over Cody Bellinger. No, I'm just playing. It's too early for that.
You already know my belly take.
$700K for $17 million. I mean, you do the math, but we know that
that's just good business.
I mean, hey, man, James, you can't get him out, man. But I do think Miguel Vargas, he has put himself in a great position. He handled himself well at the big league level. He raked when he went back down, and I think he's ready to come back up and have an impact and just continue to grow. I think he's a guy that is going to be a 25, 30 home run hitter during his career. He's going to hit for average, hit for some power, and he's an exciting young player.
Could be a chance that he's also auditioning for Hanser's roster spot, because we were talking about that a little bit last week. It's like you don't really know, or maybe 2 weeks ago, you don't really know if this guy, if Hanser is the answer.
Yeah,
the bat isn't always there. He had a good little stretch coming out of the All-Star break since his come back down to earth. He's a plus defender around the infield, but if you have CT3 taking more reps, you have some optionality, as they like to call it. You can play Muncy just about anywhere and get adequate defense. Lux can play some up the middle. If you got Taylor getting some time at 2B or whatever it is, see what this guy can do, and maybe you got a legitimate bat and you give yourself the best opportunity to, again, go get that ring. Other arms on their way back, we already know. Blake Trinan, he's coming back as well. He's all but wrapped up his rehab assignment. He's going to be joining the roster on September 2nd, they say. So we're going to have back-to-back days with some, I don't know if it's big or surprising roster moves, but we're going to see some names that maybe we're used to seeing on there no longer being on there. They DFA'd Eddie Alvarez finally today to get Heath Embry on there, but there's two dudes. There's two dudes that aren't going to be on the roster. Like I already said, come 2 days with Jake Reed and Heath Embry, and there are other options that we'll get more into later this week as the news comes along. Yancy Almonte, still not throwing. Kind of start to worry at this point. It's been more than a month. He is a better option than some dudes that we have on the damn in the bullpen right now. But don't throw him if he isn't ready. Danny Duffy, he's made like a random start at single A.
Yeah.
Victor Gonzalez is throwing at OKC. Tommy Kahnle at OKC. But let's be real. None of these guys are going to make an impact. I don't even want to see any of these dudes on the September roster. You tried, thanks, but we're going to go with the guys we have. We don't have a roster spot for you. You should have been healthier sooner. Here's here's your complimentary chocolate on the way out.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at some of those guys, Danny Duffy, like I said, he's like a PS5. He's like Bigfoot. I've heard about them. I've never actually seen them. But when you talk about Victor Gonzalez, it's not like he was good last year, right? I mean, he was really struggled last season. And like I said, he actually looked pretty good during spring training, and he kind of changed some things up. But yeah, I think when you look at this team as currently constructed, it's going to be a situation where some of these guys are going to might get some opportunities, but also like Chris Martin. Chris Martin is a guy that's really started to shine for this Dodgers team. And Evan Phillips, I think Yancey is the big one too, and Blake Trinan. Of course, when those guys return, to see how they perform. And yeah, I mean, they're going to have a big decision as far as who's going to get those final 3 outs. But yeah, I think that some of these guys we've been talking about for a long time, will they come back and have an opportunity to pitch? I mean, it's just some of these updates are just so weird. You know, Danny Duffy, Doc straight up said it's unlikely he's going to pitch. And then it's like, oh, he pitched at an Arizona Complex League. And the thing is, you know, it's not like he's been lighting the world on fire, some hits, batters, some walks. So, you know, he was really good before he got injured with the Royals and they made the trade. But yeah, I just don't think you're going to have those big, it's more just kind of depth pieces down the line if guys go down.
Yeah, I mean, if we see them, that's rough. You know, that is absolutely rough. Things went quickly awry for the Dodgers. Digging into the comments a little bit, the Danny Duffy comments here are great. Ice Queen 7 says Danny Duffy is a real-life Bigfoot. Tim Rogers, our boys, had a few good comments in here. I've been wanting to get Tim in the comments here, but we've been just talking so damn much. But he said, I got a PS5 last week, so maybe there is hope for Danny Duffy.
Nice.
I don't think he's going to be here. Carnivorous Lunar Activity says, Netflix doc, who is Danny Duffy? So boom, we're making content out of here. Hey, also, it's Rebecca's birthday, or was Rebecca's birthday recently, so happy birthday to Rebecca. That's cool. We got people who were born at some point, and possibly either today or yesterday. That's all I got.
No, some of these are good. Anthony Key, my man, he says Danny Duffy is going to play for the Rams before he plays for the Dodgers.
Bruh.
Yeah, the fact that we've seen him in a Lakers uniform more than a Dodgers uniform should tell you a lot when it comes to Danny Duffy. And it's definitely telling, very telling. And it's no fault for the guy. It's just he just can't get healthy. I mean, Danny Hillary Duffy.
He's tried. He's absolutely tried for sure. Our boy Cody in the stream saying very random, but have no fear. Kevin Pillar will appear.
Shout out to our boy Cody, Kevin Pillar, bro. Yeah. You know, have you heard? Pillar's really gone on the radio. I mean, he's breaking down games with Vassay, calling in from Arizona, doing some stuff. Yeah.
Whenever they don't allow him in the dugout.
Whenever they don't allow the dugout. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think this team really, the guys we have on the bench, I mean, I'm very excited to see what Miguel Vargas can do if he can pick up where he left off. Yep. Joey Gallo. I mean, over the weekend, Joey, I can't say his name without thinking about it. Hanser Alberto. Yeah, I mean, selfishly, I want to see them together. But hey, I think Hanser Alberto, he stays on and he becomes the Dodgers' first full-time mascot. You know, and they introduce him, Hanser Alberto, the Dodgers mascot. He'd be fantastic. But
let's go.
But yeah, I think Joey Gallo's another guy. You saw against the Marlins, bases loaded, had a chance. That was a 420 expected batting average, so some bad luck for him. But yeah, I do think you really can't expect too much. But with the luck, it seems like with Buehler and Gonsolin, to me, I'm just kind of day by day touch and go with this team because you just want to have some more horses in the stable if you need to use them. And I think it'd be just so great. I think it'd be the post game show. We've had fun with Danny Duffy literally for a long time, and I think it'd be just amazing for us to get that opportunity to see him on the mound. I would just run on the field and poke him to make sure he's real. But yeah, I just want to see him on.
He's one of those two-pack holograms.
Yeah, that's Carnivorous Lunar Activity. Loves saying that.
You kids love the 2-pack, right?
The 2-pack. R.I.P. Man.
Oh man!
Here we go. This one's from Tape It. Danny Duffy will play for the senior citizen softball team before the Dodgers. MHJ510 says Duffy stealing checks. Roy Estrada, Duffy has not pitched, but he has more saves than Kimbrough. The Kimbrough hate is just like you thought that the Kenley hate. The Kimbrough hate is just it's world class.
At least
it's
with
world
Kenley,
class.
like he grew up with us, we grew up with him. Like he was our young son. We could take him and scold him and be mad at him when he does something dumb. But then this new guy shows up and we don't like him.
Yeah, no,
just saying.
For sure. Yeah. Moose says, do you guys think we'll have a closer by committee or will it be one definite guy? My answer to that, Moose, you know where I stand, big closer by committee guy. And all you have to do is look no further than the 2020 postseason. I mean, you saw Julio Urias, saw Blake Trinan. I do think that the Dodgers aren't going to be as formulaic as some might fear. I think that they've set themselves up where they're going to be playing matchups late in games. And I do think they also have some tricks up their sleeves. And there's certain guys on this team that might be starters that you could throw out there in a key situation late in the game.
Just don't let it be Julio.
No, Julio is a starting pitcher. What happened in 2020 is that we're not going to try to recreate that. We've talked about in the past too.
Yeah, they already tried. It failed miserably.
Should have been Brule.
Just saying.
Yeah, and Dave, I think is like we talk about that. Like Dave has
he's grown. He's matured.
He has grown.
He's learned every single year. Now into his 7th year doing this. I think I don't know. I'm bad at math, but. the hope, the want, the desire, for sure. You want to have one guy you're going to roll out there, the guy you expect to get those last 3 outs. But you look at World Series of recent vintage, it's never the closer. It's really never the closer. It often is a starter who's doing it. 17, it was a starter. 18, it was a starter. 20, it was a starter. I don't remember who was 19. 19, it was Dan Hudson, so at least that was a reliever.
Yeah, I mean, look, the game has changed completely. The days of Mariano Rivera coming out of that bullpen and just breaking bats with that cutter and that being it are just in the past. And I think I think this team has been ready as far as organizationally, when you consider how steep they are in analytics, to turn the corner to just, let's give the ball to Kenley Jansen, forget about it. Let's give the ball to a single individual closer. And I think the only thing if you could figure out Craig Kimbrough, right? That would be the best case scenario for this bullpen because it puts him in a position where he can succeed. That is the role that he embraces. You saw a .49 ERA with the Cubs as a closer and then an ERA over 5 as a setup guy. Was Kimbrough a sticky stuff merchant? I mean, with the way his command is off. I mean, look, if you're when he was on yesterday, it was like, I was dunk tank Kimbrough. If you're on a dunk tank, you'd be dry, right? The way he was missing the zone. And I think that with Kimbrough, look, it's if he finds the electricity in that fastball, I do think there's some confidence issues with there. You see his demeanor. You know,
he's a broken man. This has not been the season he expected.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, he didn't come with a warranty.
Oh yeah, keep the receipt for the Pollock trade. But I do think they're going to still give him an opportunity late in this season. And you saw what he did. He had a clean inning on. He's had like 10 clean innings all season. So it's like, it's the numbers at this point, it's not a small sample size. He hasn't been a guy that you can trust. Like I said, I mean, I think he really needs to go back to the Frozen song. I mean, I do think they need to
let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah. Okay.
We had a shout out to somebody in Rochester. I think it's just given. David wants a shout out to Rochester, New York. Huge fan of the show. Thank you for checking in with us over there. Staying up late-ish. I don't think people have bedtimes anymore. But guys, final thoughts presented by our friends, presented by Hornitos. I know I love a fine Hornitos when I'm watching a ball game in the pool. But my final thought is, hey, this is our last show in this office, our last Blue Heaven in this office. Once again, we did that in 2019, and now we're doing it here again in 2022. So as this guy said, we're going to be back here in 2 or 3 years, probably.
Even years.
We're even in odd years. We're any years. But we're going to be moving to a new office, so things are going to look a little bit different. I'm sure there's going to be some technical issues along the way, but it is what it is. But as we wrap the show, here's one final shot to you guys. One final shot to DNHQ 2 Revisited. May the Dodgers stay healthy and win all the games. May you guys stay healthy and happy and go enjoy a fine Hornitos with your friends like I plan on doing at the ball game. I'm thinking about that Hornitos Paloma on my way at Dodger Stadium. But guys, thank you for hanging out with us. Find us on the internet at DodgersNation.com. Subscribe to Blue Heaven on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitch Radio, Pandora, everywhere your podcasts are available for free. We live there. Go sign up and do all the nice things. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. That guy would really appreciate it. Leave a like, mash the thumb, do the comments, all the things you need to do, because why not?
Yeah. Hey, guys, get those subs up, man. We're going for 1 million. 970, 950, I don't know.
Real quick.
945,000.
Real overnight. I am Real FRG. That guy is DMac_LA. Thank you to Mr. Gary Lee running the buttons behind the scenes. Thank you for all your comments and questions. And we are going to see you guys next Monday. Bye.